We are covering second-year players that can help you win your league, and the show starts right now. Welcome back. It's Bob's Three-Toed Warriors with a Word on the Street, Season 1, Episode 21. And on today's show, we're going to be breaking down second-year players that can hopefully help you win your leagues. You can grab in drafts, because that's the goal anyway, right? To win the championship. I have two gentlemen from the land down under. I said it. I didn't play it or sing it. G and AJ from the Aussie Guys Podcast here to help me out. AJ, G, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Excellent.
Thanks for having us on, Bob.
Yeah, it's great. And thanks for not playing the Down Under song. That would have been good. Otherwise, you would have been doing this podcast just with one Aussie. The other one would have walked.
I have listened before when you almost walked off of the Fantasy Football Fellows show, and I got a kick out of it, but you did not that day.
It's a pet hate. Yeah, it was great when we won the America's Cup back. I think it was 1984, and it was the song there, and it was great. But it's just, it's. I think every country would have a song that gets recognised towards them that they just absolutely hate. And just,
I'm sure. Why don't you guys real quick tell us where they can find your work?
Well, easiest way is just to go to our Twitter account at Aussie Guys NFL, and there you'll find all of our links for pods. We've been doing a fair bit live. We've been using StreamYard like you do. We've been using that for sort of the last 12 months, I suppose. And so there's a lot of stuff that's now up on YouTube. So
AJ likes it that way because he doesn't have to do any editing and sit down for another couple of hours. And
amen. I'm not going to argue with
all my crap and proper really poor use of the English language.
What do you think? No, my editor doesn't like it either.
No, I make a lot of mistakes, and AJ makes me sound half decent. I wasn't going to say good because that would be a lie. We spend an hour doing the pod, and then he spent 4 hours editing my crap.
Well, I used to.
Yes, that's why the YouTube works well, in and out.
And also, I've gotten less picky about it. So in the first year of us doing it, I used to edit it to perfection, and that was.
If you don't mind saying so yourself.
What's that?
If you don't mind saying so yourself.
No. I mean, I was like editing every little part. Like I'd listen back and I'd go edit like almost every single word and gaps between sentences and things, and that's just not sustainable because it drives you crazy.
There you go. Well, if you're watching on the YouTubes, which is definitely a fun way to do it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you can get the notifications for both our show and their show. I say our show like there's someone else next to me. If you're listening on the audio on the podcast, go ahead and hook me up and subscribe. Give that 5-star rating. I really appreciate it. It's a very kind and helpful thing to do. So on this show, there's a ton of second-year players that can help you out this season, and I grabbed about a dozen or so of them, and one bonus crazy player that'll find his way into the mix and maybe even into the NFL. I guess I kind of gave that guy away. But we're going to go ahead and fire right into league-winning second-year players, and we're talk about them a little, see what the thoughts are, see if we feel like they could be someone who can help you out or not. So we're going to start, I think, with maybe the lowest one on the bar here, maybe Darius Slayton. What do you guys think about Mr. Darius Slayton?
AJ, do you want to go first or?
Well, I might just start by saying, and sorry, I'm going to subvert your show a tiny bit, but I've been fading rookies, generally speaking, because given the circumstances, and G and I just had a startup. We rebooted, not to make it a long story. G's going to roll his eyes. We rebooted a dynasty league, and it's kind of like it's almost like a redraft / dynasty hybrid. But in any case, I really faded rookies, and I will in my redraft leagues that I do this year as well, because rookies they have a pretty steep learning curve as it is, and this year is going to be especially tough. Like really, I think expectations need to be low. So, hence this topic. I think second-year guys, you're much better off to kind of investing in veterans and second-year guys more than your rookies. Let people go early on the rookies. they're really going to struggle to get value, in my opinion.
No, that's a valid point. That's a very valid point, especially any year, but especially this year. Or at least we perceive it to be a big deal this year. Maybe we'll all be wrong. Maybe all the guys who were in front of the rookies will all get sick, and the rookies will be the studs. Well, but who knows?
Look, that's a whole different topic. I think there will be quite a bit of turnover as well. Yeah. But Darius Slayton, look, I really like him, and that Giants offense is underrated. People sleeping on it, I think. Daniel Jones has shown some things. He looks pretty decent. And there's not a whole lot of weapons in that offense. I mean, I know you've got guys like Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, real possession type guys. But Slayton's got a chance there to really shine and be like the wide receiver one in that offense, really, hasn't he? Gee, what do you think?
Yeah, I think for his first season, what was he? I'm trying to think of a fifth or sixth round pick from last season. And look, he had the advantage of the fact that the guys that missed, like if you go down, Golden Tate only played 11 games, Barkley only played 13 because he catches a lot of passes out of the backfield. Evan Ingram only played 8. Sterling Shepard only played 10. He had a rookie quarterback. So he played 14. He only started 9, Slayton. So it gave him an opportunity with I don't think there was hardly any time really that everybody was on the park at the same time. So he got more opportunity. He probably won't find that same amount of opportunity this year that he had last year, just with everybody being back. So it was a good season. He finished he had 48 receptions, 75th in the league, 740 yards, 8 TDs. He's that deep threat. And the Giants they throw the ball a ton. So on run pass ratio, what are they? Just over 37 run and 62 pass. Now, granted, that's probably not exactly the run pass ratio you have, considering the 3 games that Barkley missed. But look, it's not going to go up that much with 3 games more of Barkley if he can play the whole 16. I just think, what are your expectations this year? Mate, if he can do it again, what he did last year with everybody on the park, that'd be fantastic. But I think you're going to find that his targets probably won't be as many, just if everybody can stay healthy. He's going to be one of those guys that you're going to look at on your roster every week and go, do I play him this week?
Yes, but he should be reasonably cheap is another thing.
Right. Yeah, he's the flex guy.
Yeah. I think matchups where like safeties injured or they got poor safeties, or look, he's not going to get the number 1 coverage, but if he's getting some slappy or rookie, it definitely a guy to look at. He's going to be a week to week wide receiver. He's not going to someone you just put in your lineup and just say, okay, yep, set.
Yeah. A bye week fill in, unless he ends up earning that role and taking it from one of the other guys. And then
exactly. He'll be a guy you just watch how the season starts. And look, and the good thing was he had these rookie season because he played so many games without everybody else. He got that good rapport with Jones. So that's a start.
All right. Let's move on to so that was probably not your league winner there. Let's move on to Deontay Johnson. Let's take a look and see if we like him any better. Deontay Johnson. I think that wide receiver core feels almost as broken as the last one.
Oh yeah, and who do you pick? I mean,
mate, there wasn't just the whole offense, wasn't it? Just broken.
Yeah.
Look, and there's a lot of the only thing I would say about Deontay Johnson is that maybe the price is getting a little bit expensive. There's a lot of buzz around him. It is a bit price dependent, but he did have a great rookie season, especially considering that he had a hernia operation in February. Apparently was playing through that injury the whole season.
Yep.
Led the Steelers in targets, 92, and catches, 59, and receiving scores. Now, I
Mate, it's amazing he actually caught 59 passes from those quarterbacks could actually find him 59
Yes.
times. Well, it's amazing because that was probably the worst quarterback situation ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you got a healthy Roethlisberger under center. Touch wood.
I have a plastic table, so I can't help.
Yeah. Juju is a little bit of a sneaky play, I think, this year as well. And also, I haven't necessarily given up on James Washington. A lot of people have, and you can get him very, very late.
Oh, yeah.
Very late. Whereas Deontay Johnson, I don't know, you're going to have to go fairly early because the hype on him is through the roof. But having said that, I think he's deserving of that. But I almost feel like I would prefer to go in my last round, grab James Washington, and maybe I'm going to get similar value. But what are your thoughts, G?
No, I'm taking Deontay Johnson over James Washington, without a doubt. Like, he played all 16 games, as he said, had 92 targets, and how they found him 59 times is incredible. As we said, no Ben. Connor missed 10, only played 10 games. So the running game was, and when everything works together, run game, pass, it all works. Juju Smith-Schuster, I've always had doubts on Juju Smith-Schuster being a number one guy.
Yep.
So I know you're bullish on him. Juju's not someone I'm going looking at. I'd rather wait and take Deontay Johnson. But as you said, he's going to, I think as the season grows closer, I think his price tag is going to go up. He led all receivers last year in yards of separation per target. A little bit of a concern is he fumbled 5 times. Now, I can understand that like, fumbling from a running back 5 times is not good, but fumbling 5 times as a receiver is, mate, you got to protect that ball,
Especially if you only caught how many balls? 60?
Yeah, 59.
Oh,
yeah,
one out of 9.
Yeah, you fumble those.
1 out of 11.
You just can't be doing that. They added Chase Claypool, obviously, from Notre Dame. Not that he's going to affect him, but he's still another target that goes into the mix. And look, the Steelers ran three receiver sets last year, 70% of the time. So Johnson's going to be out there basically, I think, probably a huge proportion of the season. They know what they're doing, don't they, in Pittsburgh, of grabbing these sort of guys. Yes.
I've just checked his ADP on Fantasy Pros. It's wide receiver 45, which seems pretty good. I'd buy it at that price.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a feeling it was much higher than that. It may be, but
the funny part is we're not going to have the preseason hype this year to really change ADP. That is going to be weird because usually in preseason the low totem pole guys get that one-handed grab and everybody's like, did you see a touchdown? And all of a sudden they're going up,
Oh, mate, we're getting that on Twitter already. People making one-handed catches it's just like, he's having a breakout. Look at it. Like, Jesus, mate, we've been watching this stuff. It means absolute. Like, I remember Sammy Watkins doing it every training session, and that never helped him.
First game.
Yeah, he had a good first game, but like all this stuff. Like I've seen guys, running routes and do all the exercises in between the ladders on the ground. How is that any different from what they should be doing anyway?
Yeah.
They put up all these. Mate, everybody looks great until there's someone standing on the other side trying to tackle you.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on to the next guy, for the translation, for people who didn't catch it, AJ, we call it knock on wood. Touching wood is get you criminal time. So just a little note for you. And on that note, we go to DK Metcalf, and we'll tie him in with our crazy person as a slight possibility. But DK Metcalf as a second-year guy, I am personally a fan of his teammate. And
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I don't know which way this is going here.
No, that's what, mate. If Bob, you go back and have a listen. How long this would be? Tyler Lockett's what? 7th year in the league. Oh, he was we first started, mate. If you go back and listen to the Aussie guys back then, you will listen to me talk him up, saying, "You watch this guy. I guarantee you." And he's one of those guys that every year, no matter what he does, it's just like, okay, Tyler Lockett. All right, yeah, I'm not excited about it. And yet every year people go, he's not going to, he can't do that. He can't replicate those touchdowns. The yardage is not going to happen. Every year he keeps producing.
Yeah. And I personally think the offense will throw more.
Oh, they have to.
Yeah. Especially if they like winning.
Well, yeah. Well, they got no running back.
How about you, AJ? Are we liking DK for this year? Actually, both of you, since we kind of moved on to Lockett there.
Hell yeah. It's a hell yeah.
Okay, I like it.
I was pretty down on. Look, I think because you know, no person who does this is worth their salt unless they're prepared to say, I got this wrong, or
sure.
I have to rethink things. And I wasn't a fan of Metcalf coming out. I thought he was a bit one-dimensional. But look, listen, I don't even think he's a one-trick pony, but even if he is, that trick is a damn good trick. So,
sure.
But he isn't. He's really shown that he isn't a one-trick pony, and the sort of stuff that he can do is very, very impressive. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tyler Lockett as well. But what did he have? 58 receptions for 900 yards and 7 touchdowns. But
yeah, and 100 targets. 100 targets is a rookie.
100 targets.
Mate, that's going to go up. Like the run-pass ratio is 48.2 to 51.8. They have to start throwing the football.
I mean, rookies don't often have seasons like that.
True.
That's an amazing rookie season, and I think that he showed that. And it doesn't matter. As I said, I think sometimes when we sort of look at rookies coming out, we sort of feel like they have to do everything, and that's just not necessary, And I think kudos to the Seahawks who went for Metcalf. They got a bit of stick in the draft for selecting him. But, they knew exactly what they wanted. It was a skill set, and they plugged him in. And, man, what a rookie season. And I think he's a fantastic pick this year. I'm just going to check his ADP while G has a chat about it.
Me too. I was just about to pull that too. Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you have a look, mate, who else they're throwing the ball to? They got David Moore, 7th round pick. They got Philip Dorsett, please give me a spell. But they picked up, Freddie Swain, who I don't mind. Like if you have a dynasty league, just sort of throw him on your taxi squad. But he was a 6th round pick, and they're like outside of that, they have, mate, they got Greg Olsen as a tight end, like a great tight end. But man, how old's the dude? The dude's already thinking that he's pushing 40. He's thinking about getting into on behind the mic. Will Disley's injured. They got a running back core that's either Carson, who's coming off a hip injury, Rashard Penny. Penny. They picked up the rookie. I'm trying to think of his name. They got Carlos Hyde. They grabbed him, but mate, they got to start throwing the football this year. And if you look at a guy that comes off 100 targets as a rookie, 900 yards and 7 touchdowns, mate, you're definitely looking, you could easily add 20 plus more targets, 1,100 yards season plus. And, you take those touchdowns to getting close to double figures. And, mate, he's tight end. He's a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, they're showing him wide receiver 21 and overall 51 on the one I'm looking at. So
he could be easily pushing towards the top 10 wide receivers this year. Okay, everybody thought he's a straight line speed guy, big. He's a huge dude. But mate, his route running is increasing all the time, and he proved that last year, and it's only going to get better.
Okay.
So sort of late fourth, early fifth round. You might be picking him up as your wide receiver 2, or even your wide receiver 1 if you go sort of quarterback and running back heavy at the beginning. And I'd be perfectly happy with that.
In a draft that we just did, Bob, I picked up Metcalf and Tyler Lockett as my first 2 receivers, and I'm happy to play. I'm happy to play both of them every week.
Wow, that's bold.
Well, got to put them on the block sometimes. Not just touching wood. You got to put it on the block.
All right, so I would assume pretty safely, and who knows if it would last more than one game, but I would assume that with all the chitter chatter in the world, if AB Antonio Brown did actually sign in Seattle, that would change our tune for at least one of the 2 players on the team. It'd have to change it for one of the 2 if he actually lasted more than just the preseason or for one game.
I
can't see all 3 balling out.
Yes and no. Well, apart from the fact that AB has got some serious mental issues going on, I also do think that we sort of really overrate. Now, listen, I know. Well, hey, I was going to say AB is, veteran and he's an expert, top tier player, but still, sure. I don't think he's really proven that he hasn't shown anything jumping to another team. And I think that we overstate sometimes, like in free agency, players jump around, wide receivers changing teams. They don't really have a good hit rate, and AB certainly hasn't shown anything. I mean, his jumping teams has been disastrous. So I don't know. It doesn't scare me that much. I'd let people fade DK and I'll grab him a bit later. That's fine. And if people want to grab AB in their drafts, I'm happy for them to waste a pick on AB.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. If AB lands up, he's going to be a complimentary piece at best. And if they start throwing the ball, like I said, they got to start. They're only throwing it 51.8% of the time. If that goes up, well, you can easily see, Metcalf, Lockett still being the same player, and the complimentary guy is Brown. To me, it actually help out someone like Tyler Lockett. If you're going to take away a good corner guy and stick him on Brown,
true.
Lockett become, mate, I'll take that. I'm more than happy to have him here, and I just think the chemistry too with Lockett and Metcalf, it's there now. And to stick Brown in there, I don't know how Brown and someone who's so righteous as Russell Wilson would get on anyway. So
yeah,
there you go. And I wouldn't doubt that the addition of Brown would probably get us an extra round, maybe 2, but at least a round discount on those other 2 guys if you did want them. So all the more helpful too. So before we jump into our next batch of players, I want to promote the Listener League auction. Listener League auction. Yeah, that we're having. So 12-team league. It'll be an auction, and there's 3 spots left. 2 will be given away for iTunes or whatever system you listen to that will give 5-star ratings or whatever they would call that on other systems, and then screenshotted to @Bob's 3-Toed Warriors. And the other one will be for someone who's creative and makes a video, a song, short, couple sentences, something telling me why you should be in the league, and has to just wrap in something about the show in there to show that you actually listen to the show. It'll be a good time, and we only have 3 spots left, so fill them up, y'all. All right, so let's move on to this team. Hopefully has a team this year. Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry.
Yeah, well,
mate, these guys, mate, I've never seen someone with so much hype.
Yeah, I was going to say, G and I are going to be on the same page here. For me, it's no. At the price, no.
Yeah.
Because to get him, you're going to have to, go early. I'm just looking at his ADP here. It's 66 overall. So that's going to be end of the 5th. I don't think that's
not
end
bad.
Of the 5th, early 6th. I think you're going to have to go earlier to get him than that. That doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he had a great season. I'm not denying that. 93 targets, 58 receptions for 919 yards, 7 touchdowns. And I also think Haskins is going to be okay.
Who's he play for, though?
What?
Who's he play for?
Who's he play for?
The Washington Warriors.
Is that what it's going to be?
That's what I'm calling it. I have no facts to back that up. That's what I'm calling it. You don't have to change your logo. You don't have to change your colors. You just have to change your front office, allegedly, now. I
thought something like maybe the Washington Power, seeing supposedly the most powerful man in the world resides there.
Yeah.
The Washington Power.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I think Metcalf is going to be better than people think he is, but I still don't think he's not going to set the world on fire. But I think he's going to.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about McLaren.
Yeah, I know we're talking about McLaren, but here's the thing.
We just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Sorry, mate.
Haskins is not, amazing, and also you don't have a whole lot of other weapons there. So if McLaren kind of was under the radar a little bit last year, which potentially was, well, this year that ain't happening at all.
Sure.
And he's the only guy. Like, honestly, who else are you counting? Are you counting Darius Geis? I don't know. AP is still there, allegedly, isn't he? And
yeah, they have some other guys, but they don't have he is the one there. Like he is the one getting the double coverage. I think that's where you're kind of heading with that point there.
That's right.
That's right. I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, there's sort of some late flyers and things, but you're probably not going to have many Washington players on your fantasy redraft team this year. You could have all 20 running backs. Yeah. I mean, who have they got at tight end? I don't know.
So if you're
Jeremy Sprinkle.
This offense does not look scary, and I think that defenses are just going to cover McLaren, and he's going to have a harder year for absolute sure. But I mean, I like him. I just think you're going to have to pay a price to get him, and it's not going to be worth it.
You don't think he'll be in the 5th, though, huh?
No.
So many running backs leaving that first 2 rounds. I feel like.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I would take him. I would take him if I get him in as my 5th pick. If I've already snagged
I'd take him backs,
yeah. I think it'd be a great flex and even better possibly. So, but he could definitely be covered to hell and turn out to be nothing. And his quarterback could turn out not to be worth the first round pick they spent on him. That happens sometimes. I live in Chicago. So I get it. All right. Who do we have next? We have
just while we're on Washington, just keep an eye. Maybe like I don't know how many players you have in your league in redrafts or how many rounds people have, but maybe just keep an eye. If you don't pick him up, is Steven Sims.
Sure.
Who really who came to light at the end of last year, and we always have that. The best players at the start of this year are the players that ended best last year. That's our memory span, but just somebody else to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of good praise right now. So
yeah.
All right, Hakeem Butler, you slid him on him in on me.
That was just a talking point before we went on air.
Well, where did you find him?
Mate, I was doing a little bit of research last night because I was having a look at rookies and on Fantasy Pros and where everybody rated them, like how many rookies and sophomore guys are in the top 100, the top 100 to 200. And then I looked after 200, and I'm just scrolling down. I started to get to all these names of guys that you are never, ever, ever going to have on your fantasy team. You wouldn't even have them on a dynasty league, some of these blokes. And I'm scrolling down, and I kept going down, where's, just out of curiosity, where's Hakeem Butler? Because I actually had him as my number 1 wide receiver last year coming out because I felt that he was, of the class that came out last year, he could play any position on the field for someone of like around about 6'2", 6'3", or whatever he is. I'm scrolling down. I said, I must have missed him. Like we're getting into the 400s now. And there he is sitting at 441. Like, am I going to pick him up in a redraft league? Probably not. But it's amazing that a guy was that low. But yeah, there again, there's not a lot of people talking about him. I just think that that's just really strange to have him that low.
With as much talent as he has?
Oh, well, I think he's got talent, yeah. Yep. Whether or not it transfers to the NFL, and me and AJ talk about this all the time on our pod with other guests, is that the amount of players that are great in college and get to the NFL and are shrinking violets, and then the guys that you've never even looked at, these guys that have just been getting through, but certain people rise to bigger occasions, and maybe he might just be one of those. Hopefully not one of those shrinking violets, a guy that rises to the occasion. But it's going to be very hard not in that offense with that many players.
Well, this year,
year anyway.
That's fair. Yeah. But our expectations have changed. It was the case certainly 10 years ago. We used to not expect so much out of rookie wide receivers,
sure,
and we always used to talk about the third year breakout.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to give this guy a chance. And them obviously getting Nuke in free agency hasn't helped him on the depth chart at all. And, I like players like Christian Kirk. Larry Fitzgerald obviously play, well, I don't know. He seems to be like Frank Gore, made of the same stuff at this stage. But, Larry Fitz, probably this will be his last year. But then behind those three, you've got a mix of people. I mean, are we saying that Hakeem Butler is worse than Andy Isabella? I don't know. Or Keyshawn Johnson. Like, there's a mix of players there. So I think he's going to get a shot. It just may be that it's a 2021 thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Look, I have that same problem. Like, I'm not a fan of Christian Kirk. I think unless the ball's at his numbers, he's got those little T-Rex stumpy arms.
It's not a big deal for a wide receiver.
No, the money. It's got to be on the money for him. I'm not a big fan of his. I'm definitely not a fan of Andy Isabella. I think he's brought in for speed, and I think we've spoken about this a few times. Haven't we, AJ? Like that touchdown that he had last year when he had a 40-yard head start, and then everybody almost got caught. That doesn't really display speed to me. Yeah, and look, Larry Fitzgerald's going to take targets. He's Larry Fitzgerald. I think Larry's staying around for another year because now that Hopkins is here, he's thinking, mate, we got a serious chance to have a really good offense this year.
Yeah.
Mate, he's just a sneaky guy, Larry Fitzgerald, to take later in your drafts, especially if they're PPR. Yeah. He's an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave the second-year guys behind for a minute, and we've mentioned the word rookie quite a few times in the last couple of sentences here. So is there a couple, not a whole bunch of them, and there's probably not a whole bunch of them to begin with, but is there a couple rookie wide receivers that you feel like you might be able to snag a little later, and you can see how they could get that potential to be productive for you this year?
Yeah, well, what I was just talking about, as in looking at the Fantasy Pros, where they had these guys ranked in the top 100 rookies. There's 6, and they're all running backs. So,
sure,
because running backs are going to get more of a chance in the first year because their lifespan's a lot shorter, and it's not until we get to the next. To the 100s and 200s, we start seeing like CD Lamb, Jerry Jeudy's, Justin Jefferson's, and the Ruggs and these guys. But I think it's going to be really hard for the rookies to integrate. CD Lamb's landed in a really good spot, but there's a lot of players there. I really like. I really like Michael Pittman. I have him high as a guy coming out anyway, but I think. In the Colts offense, T.Y. Hilton, sort of that speed sort of guy. But I don't know if AJ probably have a better ring on this because of Phillip Rivers, and he's followed him for so many years, being a Chargers fan. But he likes the slot guy, he likes his tight end, and then he likes the big receiver out wide. And I maybe it's got maybe in like a best ball type thing if you're setting that sort of up. But someone like Pittman, because Phillip Rivers is going to put the ball in the air and he's going to allow his guy to go up. And we saw that with Williams. I think Williams last year was like the highest in air yards of any wide receiver. So he'd be one I'd be looking at. But as far as wide, it's going to be really hard.
It is.
I don't think I'm going to take any wide receivers out high in my draft this year. Just with everything that's going on.
High. AJ, you want to call your shot on a rookie wide receiver, or no? If you're going to take one, and I wouldn't.
If I had to take one.
You're talking ninth round here, almost double digits, I think.
Oh, yeah. Look, if I had to take one, if I had to take a shot at one being productive this year, it would be Jerry Jeudy.
Okay.
Because I think, CeeDee Lamb, I really, really like, but as G said, the situation is probably not the best in terms of targets and things. And also he's not going to get much time to get in sync with the offense, etc., as all the rookies won't. And people talk about there being a lot of targets in Denver, but I think it's a good situation there in Denver. Being opposite Cortland Sutton, I think that he's going to get some opportunity. I mean, I know Noah Fant is sort of on the rise there as well, showed some things, but and also, of course, you've got Melvin Gordon added to the offense. So there certainly is a lot of targets, a lot of people trying to get slices of the pie there. But if I had to put my chips on any of the rookie wide receivers, and I like a lot of them, but I mean, in terms of this year, I think Jeudy would be it. And I feel like I might kind of take a bit of a late tilt at Devin Duvernay, only because of the situation, him being kind of a slot guy might be a bit of a release valve in that Ravens offense. But again, man, there's probably a lot of players that I would take before both of those guys, to be honest.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just a deep fly too. Someone like if he can stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to do through, but Laviska Shenault at Jackson is landed in a perfect spot for someone of where he plays, like that sort of slot big, sort of running back after the catch sort of wide receiver. There's really outside of Chark, there's really no one else there.
Yeah.
So he'd be someone I'd be looking at. Like, are you going to take him? But there are guys, just keep an eye on in redraft leagues, because they may pop their head up and try and. If you can try and read it a week before everybody else, which sounds ridiculous, but that's the way I try and do it. Try and watch the game. Okay, he hasn't done much this week, but you can see they're sort of starting to lean that way. Then when you got to be a week ahead than a week later, because if you're a week late, you're not getting them.
Sorry, I don't mean to kind of derail your schedule.
Here we go down the rabbit hole.
That's that G brings up something perfectly. That's the way you got to play redraft. Is you've got to try and do waivers a week ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when you pay nothing. And if you're watching or kind of getting a glimpse of guys, hopefully you can see a guy. Ooh, this particular guy's starting to get a little bit of offense and some nice touches, and maybe just you're like a half a step just too late here. Otherwise, you would have broken something. Then that's the kind of guys you've got to try and take tilts on and go early on. And you can get some good, you can win a league that way. Actually, I usually try and just have one roster spot that I'm just taking a flyer on each week.
Sure.
And you just kind of, and then the guy doesn't do anything, drop him out, pick up another guy.
You save a whole lot of fab by going early too.
Oh
yes.
Yeah. So my shot would be right around the 11th round, at least right now, would be on Jalen Reagor. That I feel like he has a great opportunity to get on the field, especially since one guy is healthy, isn't healthy. We'll see. The other guy will he have any kind of penalty or backlash from things said? Who knows? So, it's an interesting situation there in Philadelphia. So let's go from there. Let's go over to.
I just hope he holds onto the ball. The biggest problem I had with Rager coming out with the amount of drop passes.
Yeah.
Like he drops
drop
a
passes
lot of
and
balls.
fumbles are not good for wide receivers.
No.
So he just drops them early so he didn't get hit with a full penalty on the fumble. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lump these three guys together because they're tight ends, and that's what tight ends unfortunately often deserve, or maybe not. I don't know. Noah Fant, T.J. Hawkinson, and I'm gonna slide Sternberger in there just because he had some room made available for him and some opportunity made available for him on his team, and they didn't go out and buy any more wide receivers. So, so I was looking at opportunity on that side. But what do we think on those three guys, tight ends? They usually take their sweet time developing. So
they do, and I kind of like, if you miss out on, let's face it, you have to go super early to get the Kittles and Kelseys of the world, or Mark Andrews. You miss out on those guys, and then you might as well take a flyer on a couple of guys like this late. And I don't think G is as much a fan of Noah Fant. I've turned on to him more so. I think he had a good season. Hawkinson, obviously, I'm a big fan of that offense, and Stafford is incredibly underrated. Sternberger, I think, is talented, and as you said, they didn't add any wide receivers, so you could get him very late, I'm sure. I'm guessing the ADP is probably Hawkinson, Fant, Sternberger.
I will verify that for you, but it sounds right to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry, go AJ.
The tight ends it's all just like a mix at this stage, and you might as well kind of take a couple of flyers and see if you can kind of piece together a tight end out of, a startable tight end out of a couple of these guys,
So Fant and Hawkinson are back to back. Fant 13, Hawkinson 14 as tight end, separated by a good round and a half overall. Mm-hmm. And then you drop down to Jace at 27th tight end, so he's not being drafted at tight end 20.
Right.
I don't see how he's not tight end 20, round 20. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can he be this bad? I feel like the opportunity is just that good on that team. Of course, they never liked tight ends, so I guess never mind. I'm leaving that point behind.
No, and you got Alan Lazard, who stepped up a bit last year, and Rodgers has come out and said he actually trusted him, which was a big thing for Rodgers to come out and actually give someone a bit of kudos. And so, yeah, I could see a step up from I'd probably be looking at someone like him instead of going and getting Sternberger. But look, as far as Noah Fant, I wasn't a massive fan of Noah Fant coming out. Sure, I had him in my top 5, but the tight end class wasn't that great. As it's not that great this year either. But they went and picked up Albert O. If you want to try and pronounce his, I call Wayne. I can't. Some people.
I won't try. So
I stumble over the easiest of the Queen's English. But mate, this is a guy that could really, he's gonna take away some opportunity of Noah Fant because they're gonna have to play him. They're gonna put him on the park. And mate, this dude's an athlete. Like
quarterback, so that doesn't hurt.
Yes, and if you look at if you go and watch his tape, a lot of people like a little bit down on the fact that he didn't get that many opportunities. Because if you go and watch it, mate, the amount of time he was like either not used in the right way, he was running like really short, shallow routes, mate. As soon as they let him go downfield, mate, this dude's got some serious speed, and I mean serious. Like, mate. Everybody thought Noah Fant was quick. I think this dude's quicker on the park. This dude disappears off the screen like really quick. And yeah, like he's got some rapport with his quarterback, so that's great. So yeah, and as far as TJ Hawkinson, geez, we all got excited after the first game last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Arizona, here we go. But it's a tight end. They do take a bit longer to get going. Obviously, they got to learn a lot more. But look, I honestly, out of all these guys, I'd be probably trying to maybe get someone who's a bit more established.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I pick these three guys.
Any of the second year tight ends. There's there's enough of them this year looking like they'll have a good season that
you like if you take some of the top tight ends, Bob, if you take one of the top guys, it's whether or not you're willing to give up the value, but you're winning a position straight away in redraft.
Yes.
Yep. Wide receivers is so deep. Get those running backs, grab a good tight end, quarterbacks you can wait on.
Yeah.
And just wait on wide receivers. There's a stack of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So before we slide into the running backs, and the show is definitely not over, why don't you guys remind the listeners who aren't looking already on YouTube, watching on YouTube since they can't see the show handle, why don't you guys remind them where you can be found real quick once again.
So at Aussie Guys NFL on Twitter, and I always tweet out links to our YouTube live streams, etc. So I don't know what our YouTube channel is. I think it's just Aussie Guys NFL, but you'll find all the links and that sort of thing on our Twitter feed. That's the one central place where everything lives. So,
okay, all right,
nice and easy.
Let's slide over to the second-year running backs, and there was a good little handful of second-year running backs, and we'll even sneak in a couple first-year rookie running backs at the end here. So. I'm just going to list them, and then we'll talk about them. Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary with the big old question mark that everybody's putting on him, and then rookie running back. So how we feeling on Miles Sanders? His ADP is sitting around
running back 11.
It's high.
11th on yours, 10th on mine, and in the middle of the second round.
I was going to say maybe even it's going to be a late first. I mean, I think people who are high on Sanders tend to reach a little bit on him. Even I think if you want to get him, you're probably having to go. If you're at that turn, the 112, 201 turn, maybe you're going to go Miles Sanders there. Otherwise, early second, I guess. So that would probably mean I won't be taking him because I think it's a bit high. My preference, and I know we're talking about Sanders, my preference would be Josh Jacobs.
We can mix them together. It's fine. It's a good conversation with all of them because they're kind of used often. Not all of them. I mean, Singletary's not in that same breath, but a lot of these guys, well, those two are probably in the same area. 10 for Sanders, 12 for Jacobs. It's only separated by a couple picks there. And you like better. What about you, G?
Yeah, mate, I'm the same. I'm taking Josh Jacobs, mate. 13 games last year, 1,150 yards, 4.8 yards a carry, 7 TDs. Mate, you give him a 16-game season, whether or not it can be a 16-game workhorse back, I think that's probably the only question mark on him because he hasn't been that ever. Old Chucky's coming out and saying, mate, we're gonna use him a heap. So, mate, if he's getting 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns and you're not using him a heap, he could put up some, if he can stay healthy, he's going to get a lot of the ball. There's no one behind him. There's no one behind him at all.
So you can't get him cheap, but you have to have running backs, so you might as well get him.
you might as well get him. And as Denver Singletary, I sort of avoid him. Like he's great inside the from the 20 to the 20, but once you start getting into the red zone, mate, they don't use him. Mate, I don't think he even had a touch inside the 5 last year.
It's all Frank Gore.
Yeah, it was Frank Gore. But I think it's Josh Allen. He's the one scoring the touchdowns from inside the 5. They just let him carry it.
Yeah.
Well, so you got to.
I understand it. They let him carry it right after Frank Gore didn't make it into the end zone. So Frank Gore does. He gets all the points, and Josh Allen never gets them. And then Josh Allen drops like a rock this year in drafts.
Yeah. But that's what's going to happen. So you got a guy that's getting carries, but he's not scoring you touchdowns. And you need the cream, and that's the cream. That's what gives him. That's why you use him as a running back. He's getting yards and he's getting touchdowns. And Singletary he's not getting that, and he's not bursting them from 50 yards out and taking it to the house. And then they go and grab Zach Moss. Yeah, who's going to take over the Frank Gore sort of role. So, great. So Singletary's
30 years younger.
Yeah. I'm not a massive fan of Zach Moss, but they're just going to use them as complementary pieces. I'd rather go out and just grab, guys that Like, where's Sanders? RB, what'd you say? RB 11?
23 and 24 is Montgomery on here.
Yeah.
And Singletary going 49 and Montgomery 54 because everybody's.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Montgomery. Mate, great between the tackles, open space. He gets like 2 steps and he's tackled. He's that slow. I don't even. So out of the guys you mentioned, mate, if I'm not getting Josh Jacobs, I'm looking elsewhere. On all the other blokes.
Yep. I'm the same.
It's just going to be very fun for running back. Very weird how it's going to be very top heavy, and then it's like, all right, who do I not like the least?
Yeah, like so Singletrie's going. I've got him here as running back 25. I don't know where you got him, Bob, but he's 58 overall at the moment, mate. When I'm getting down to 58, what's that? What round's that? Fifth round. End of the mate. I'm looking wide receivers by then. I'm not even worried about running backs. I'm taking my running backs early and moving on.
I'm looking at the running back ADP, and I was going to say, give me Edwards-Helaire, but actually you have to go pretty early to get Edwards-Helaire. He's just
a third
after Josh Jacobs in the ADP. Oh, well, this ADP doesn't sound right because they've got Miles Sanders they've got Aaron Jones and then Kenyon Drake and then Miles Sanders. So I don't know if that's right, but
mate, give me DeAndre Swift. I'd take DeAndre Swift before.
Sure.
And he's what on here? I've got him 3 picks after.
Yeah.
Give me him. Give me J.K. Dobbins. I'd take the fly on J.K. Dobbins. In the second half of the season. The 2 guys you could even go and take Cam Akers. He's like almost 10 picks after Devin Singletary. I'll take a chance on that.
Now, would you go and take? Damn, you don't even have to. So would you skip over Singletary and where we're just Montgomery and take Mark Ingram, and then back him up later with J.K. Dobbins, and 4 rounds later, 3 rounds later,
without doubt,
absolutely.
Yep. I'll take that backfield over the other guys.
Right? Yeah, so that's a nice little way to let people take the youth movement, and you take the old timers and the points. So
right,
yeah, without a doubt. Like Ingram last year he had a really good season. But if you look at it, mate, breaking tackle, I think he only broke 8 tackles last year. I think I read somewhere. Like, you want more.
Oh yeah,
out of your running back and breaking 8 tackles. He's 30 years old. I don't know how old he'll be when the season's underway. But the problem there is the best running back on the team's a quarterback.
All right. Well, we blitzed through that in under an hour. We kept it under an hour, gentlemen.
That's the first time ever for us.
Impressive.
Drag it out now. So you said you're doing some live streams?
Yes.
Are they set to a certain schedule?
No.
Currently? No. Are they set to once a week, once every couple weeks, once a month? When I get a hair up the butt, that means different things in different countries, probably too.
Very ad hoc, and with everything that's going on in the world, it's been more challenging. I think you think it might be actually easier, but I'm a teacher. Teaching has been a bit of a rough gig. I mean, there's a lot rougher, and I am working, so I can't complain, really.
Yeah.
But it's been hard work, and Melbourne, actually, where we live, has gone into lockdown again. We've gone to a second spike. We flattened the curve. We got
right
really
behind
low,
you.
and we're back up again, but not to the levels that a lot of places in the States are at. But still,
we're more ignorant than.
Yeah, you're
Australia.
you're getting our spike. We're having it in the whole city. You get it in one street.
Yeah, there you go.
At the moment.
So it's just been busy in that sense. But when the season starts, we will be going weekly, which is our normal gig. We in the lead up to the season do team preview ones. I have to get off my butt and actually organize those.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll all be live. And when we start cranking those out, there'll be quite a lot of them. And they'll be all over the place time wise, won't they, G? But
yeah, we're getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, doing those. Yeah, it's just whenever the people are good enough to come on.
Sure.
And look, and the people have a lot of the people we have come on to do our team previews are people that have joined us for like the last 3 or 4 years. So there's a good rapport there.
Yeah, I know a good group of those guys. I've had a few beers with some of them. So
yeah, so we're more than accommodating to work around any time that we can they can fit us into their schedule.
Cool.
Right. Yeah, so we get and what we'll get back to doing each week is, because there's not a lot of news at the moment. There's not a lot of things happening. Which is what we've been doing recently is just going through the Twitter. We call it Twitter Week, and we just use other people doing our research for us, and then we'll just talk about that. It might not even be about football. It could be about anything that someone spoke about on. They could have mentioned, name the top 5 favorite,
sure.
food or whatever, So we'll talk about stuff like that, and that'll be it. And we'll just feed off that, which we find works okay because we don't have to do too much research because other people are doing it for us.
Nice, and you get to interact with your people still, so that's good. That's
yeah. That's right.
All right, well, that's going to end it for this show. I can be found on Twitter at Bob's3Toad, on YouTube at Bob's3Toad Warriors, Facebook pages, the Word on the Streets Fantasy Football Group. Shows are going to run on Monday and Thursday mornings, bright and early, YouTube and everywhere podcasts can be found. And I intend, we'll see if it actually happens this week, but I intend to start the live streams this Wednesday at a time, to be determined. Maybe 7, maybe 8. I don't know, probably 8. But that's all for this show. It's been Bob's 3 Warriors, AJ and G, or should I say G and AJ? I don't want to be getting upset there.
Hey, just before you go, Bob, where did you're on Kyle's new show, Fantasy Football Smack? What guest number were you?
Oh shit! I thought that wasn't going to come up. I was listening to you guys on his show, and I was like, "Well, damn it, I beat them in."
I was going, who's this three-toed sloth bloke you're talking to? Like,
I've actually been called that before. A 3-toed warrior. Thank you. I was show number 2.
Oh my god,
number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're a piece of crap, you're a piece of crap. I was number 2.
No.
Yeah.
You find out where you stand with people very quickly sometimes, don't you?
Hey, but you made the list. We made the list.
Top 10. I suppose it's better than nothing.
You didn't beat Jerry, but hey.
That's even worse.
I know.
I love Jerry. I give him a hard time there. All right, thanks, Bob.
No problem. So, Ronnie, soon enough, you'll be able to hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, and dominate your opponents. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Bob.
Well,